let's talk about a phrase that often gets a bad rap: emotional detachment. When you hear those words, what's the first image that comes to mind? For many people, the words emotional detachment immediately conjure an image of someone who is cold. They picture a person who is distant, always keeping others at arm's length, never truly letting anyone in. It's the image of a lone wolf, navigating the world in self-imposed isolation, seemingly untouched by the warmth of human connection. They picture a person who is uncaring, someone who can witness another's pain or joy and feel absolutely nothing, their face a mask of indifference. They seem to move through life as a spectator, never a participant in the emotional world of others. In its most extreme interpretation, they picture a person who is maybe even a little bit cruel. Someone who uses their emotional distance as a shield, or worse, as a weapon, dismissing the feelings of others as unimportant or overly dramatic. This common idea suggests that to detach is to build an impenetrable wall around your heart. It's a fortress made of stone and ice, designed to keep everything and everyone out, ensuring you can never be hurt, but also ensuring you can never be truly touched. It implies that you must stop feeling things for others, that you have to find the off switch for your emotions and flip it. It suggests you have to shut down your empathy completely, silencing that inner voice that connects you to the experiences of your fellow human beings. This is a common and deeply ingrained myth, reinforced by our culture, our media, and sometimes even our own best intentions. And it's a myth that keeps so many of us from learning a skill that is not only helpful, but absolutely essential for our long-term well-being and mental health. We worry that if we detach, we will lose the very parts of ourselves that make us human, the parts we value most. We fear losing our ability to connect, to form the deep, meaningful bonds that give our lives richness and purpose. We fear losing our ability to love, to give and receive affection with an open and vulnerable heart. And we fear losing our ability to care deeply about the world around us, to be moved by injustice, and to be inspired to make a positive difference. This misunderstanding is deeply rooted in our culture. It's a narrative we absorb from a very young age. We are often taught, directly or indirectly, that caring means feeling everything intensely, that to be empathetic, you must let another person's emotions become your own. We are told that to be a good friend, you must carry their burdens as if they were yours. That to be a good partner, you must feel their anxiety in the pit of your own stomach. Or that to be a good family member, you must ride every single peak and valley of their emotional roller coaster right alongside them. The unspoken rule is that we must absorb the emotions of others to prove that we care. But what if this approach, born from love and compassion, is actually the fastest path to burnout, resentment, and losing the very capacity to care that we're trying so hard to protect? What if true, sustainable compassion requires not a wall, but a healthy boundary? Not numbness, but perspective? In this video, we're going to dismantle this myth piece by piece. We will explore what healthy emotional detachment truly is, a skill of compassionate awareness, and what it is not. We'll provide you with practical, clear frameworks you can start using today to protect your peace without closing your heart. This isn't about caring less. It's about learning how to care better, for others, and for yourself. So, what is healthy emotional detachment? It is the ability to care about people and situations without letting their outcomes control your inner state. It means you can be supportive and empathetic without absorbing every emotion that comes your way. Think of it as being the calm, steady anchor for a ship in a storm. You are there, you are strong, you are connected, but you are not being tossed around by the waves. To truly understand healthy detachment, we first need to separate it from its unhealthy cousin, emotional numbness. Numbness is an absence of feeling. It is a state of disconnection where you shut down your emotions to avoid pain, often as a response to trauma or overwhelming stress. When you are numb, you don't feel much of anything. Not joy, not sadness, not anger. To truly grasp the practice of healthy detachment, we need a powerful mental model. One of the most effective is to shift your self-perception, to think of yourself as an observer, not a sponge. This isn't just a clever phrase, it's a fundamental reorientation of how you engage with the world and its emotional currents. It's the difference between being a passive recipient of emotional weather and an active, grounded witness to it. Consider the nature of a sponge. When placed in water, it has no choice but to soak it all up. It doesn't discriminate. Whether the water is clean or murky, calm or turbulent, the sponge absorbs it indiscriminately until it can hold no more. This water represents the emotions, stresses, and energies of those around us, a partner's anxiety, a colleague's frustration, the collective grief on the evening news. As it absorbs, the sponge becomes heavy, burdened by a weight that isn't inherently its own. It becomes saturated, reaching a point where it's so full of external fluid that there's no space left for its own essence. And ultimately, it loses its original form, becoming misshapen and defined only by what it has taken in. Many of us, especially those who are highly empathetic, navigate our emotional lives like sponges. We absorb the moods and troubles of others as a default setting, believing it's the only way to show we care. But this leads to burnout, resentment, and a quiet loss of self. We end up carrying burdens we were never meant to hold, leaving us too drained to manage our own lives. Being an observer is a completely different and far more sustainable approach. It's an active skill, not a passive state. Imagine yourself as that observer, standing firmly on the shore of an ocean. You are not the ocean. You are a witness to it. You don't have to be swept away by its powerful currents to understand it. From this stable vantage point, you can see the waves of emotion, your own or someone else's, as they rise and fall. You can acknowledge their size and intensity without being knocked over. You can feel the spray on your face. That is empathy. You connect with the experience, you feel its reality, but you are not drowning in it. You can appreciate the immense power of the water, respecting the validity and force of the emotion, all while keeping your feet firmly planted on solid ground. That solid ground is your core self, your values, your own emotional state. The observer honors the other person's experience without sacrificing their own stability. This is the heart of compassionate detachment. Despite its benefits, practicing healthy detachment often comes with social risks. Because our culture frequently mistakes over-involvement for love, people who maintain emotional boundaries can be unfairly judged. If you do not mirror another person's distress, you might be labeled as cold, aloof, uncaring. At the heart of over-attachment often lies a deep and fundamental fear, the fear of being alone. This is not just about the physical state of solitude, it is about the emotional fear of disconnection, abandonment, insignificance. Another key psychological driver of over-attachment is something called identity fusion. This is what happens when the line between you and me becomes so blurry that it practically disappears. In a fused relationship, your sense of self becomes entangled with another person's. Their successes feel like your successes, which can be wonderful. But their failures, fears, anxieties also feel like your personal failures, fears, and anxieties. Over-attachment is often fueled and sustained by a powerful cognitive habit. Rumination is the tendency to get stuck in a loop of overthinking where you replay past events or worry about future possibilities over and over again. When you are over-attached to someone's problem, your mind becomes a breeding ground for these thought cycles. Think of your mental and emotional energy as a finite resource, much like the battery on your phone. Every interaction, every worry, every emotional investment consumes a piece of that energy. When you are over-attached, you are essentially letting other people use your battery without permission, leaving you drained and depleted. Boundaries are the tools you use to protect this precious resource. They are not walls designed to shut people out, but rather gates that you control. You get to decide who and what comes in, how long they stay, how much of your energy they are allowed to consume. They are the gatekeepers of your inner peace. Boundaries are not a one-size-fits-all concept. They come in many forms. Each form protects a different part of your well-being. One of the most important types is the time boundary. It's about choosing how much time you give to people or activities. For example, not taking work calls after 6 p.m., or limiting a conversation with a negative friend to 20 minutes. Section 3. Simple scripts for setting boundaries. Knowing you need to set a boundary is one thing, actually doing it is another. The fear of sounding harsh or hurting someone's feelings can be paralyzing. Having a few simple, polite scripts ready can make the process much easier. For setting a time boundary, use phrases that are kind and firm.
I'd love to help, but I don't have the capacity right now.
Section 1. The power of the pause. One of the most immediate and effective ways to begin practicing healthy detachment is to master the power of the pause. When you are faced with a stressful situation or an intense emotional trigger, your first impulse is often to react instantly. This reaction is usually driven by ingrained habits, fear, an immediate surge of emotion. The pause is a deliberate moment of stillness you create between the trigger and your response. Section 2. The art of selective caring. Practicing healthy detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you start caring more selectively and therefore more effectively. You cannot pour your emotional energy into every problem that crosses your path. If you try, you will quickly run out of energy for the things that truly matter. The art of selective caring is about consciously deciding where to invest your limited emotional resources. Section 3. Compassionate distance in action. Combining these practices leads to a state of compassionate distance. This is the ability to stay kind and connected while maintaining your emotional center. It is detachment in its most active and loving form. Let's imagine a role-play scenario to see how this works. Section 1. A skill for a stronger self. Throughout our time together, we have explored a new way of thinking about emotional detachment, reframing it not as a weakness, but as a profound strength. We've journeyed through the observer mindset, learned the architecture of healthy boundaries, and equipped ourselves with scripts to communicate them with kindness and clarity. It is crucial to remember what this skill is not. It is not about becoming cold or indifferent to the world around you. True detachment is warmth with wisdom, allowing you to engage with compassion without being consumed by chaos. It is not about building impenetrable walls to keep others out. Instead, it's like tending to a garden, with a fence that protects what's inside while still letting in the sun and rain. It's about creating selective, healthy boundaries, not a fortress of isolation. It is not about shutting down your heart. It's about learning to keep your heart open with discernment, feeling your emotions fully without letting them flood your entire being. And it is certainly not about refusing to feel. It's the difference between drowning in the emotional tide and learning how to swim within it, using the currents to guide you rather than pull you under. Instead, healthy detachment is a skill of profound emotional intelligence. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can witness pain in yourself and in others without losing your center. This is our first key takeaway. Detachment is not disconnection, it is protected connection. Section 2. The path to inner peace. As you continue on this path, remember, the goal is not a perfect, unshakable calm that never falters. That is an illusion. Life is, and always will be, full of emotional currents, some gentle, some turbulent. The practice is not to stop the river from flowing, but to stop being carried away by it. Your second takeaway is this: you are the anchor, not the storm. You have the tools to learn to navigate those currents without being swept away. You have the power of the pause, the clarity of the observer, and the strength of your boundaries. With every conscious choice, you build a boat strong enough to handle the storm. Each time you say a gentle no, or take a moment to breathe before reacting, you are reinforcing its hull. And with practice, you become its calm, capable captain, holding the wheel with a steady hand, knowing you can guide yourself back to shore. This journey toward healthy detachment is a journey toward inner freedom. It is the freedom to choose your responses, to protect your energy, and to live from a place of intention rather than reaction. Which brings us to our final takeaway, and a small challenge for you. The path is paved with small steps, So, for the next 24 hours, I invite you to practice one micro detachment. It could be pausing for 3 deep breaths before answering a stressful email. It could be noticing an urge to jump in and solve someone's problem and instead just listening. Choose one small moment to be the observer. This is not about perfection, it is about practice. It's how you care deeply without losing you.